The Panasonic S5iiX is a great camera that packs tons of features for videographers. First, if we talk about its sensor, 24.2 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor, and a new processing engine that combined together allows you to create beautiful images both for pictures and videos. Speaking of videos, this camera is able to shoot 6.2K open gate 420 10-bit colors up to 30 frames per second, but it also offers 5.9K on the 16:9 ratio, also at 30 frames per second. Now internally you also get 4K 422 10-bit colors and Cinema 4K 422 at up to 60 frames per second. And this camera packs tons of monitoring tools ideal for videographer. For example, histogram, waveform, vectors, shutter angle, and even anamorphic discrete internally. But wait, there is much more than that. With the S5iiX, you are able to support Apple ProRes up to 5.9K to an SSD or via HDMI, and you're also able to support all intra recording internally, which is not possible on the S5 II. Additionally, you are also able to support externally Blackmagic RAW and Apple ProRes RAW up to 5.9K. And one of the features that I like the most about this camera is that you are able to support direct write to an SSD, which can really simplify your workflow compared to, let's say, CF Express or SD card. Moving on to the build quality of this camera. Well, an all black build that weighs about 740 grams, which is not that heavy for a full frame camera that packs so many features. Now it's important to notice that this camera has an onboard cooling system, a fan that goes basically behind the EVF that you can barely notice, but that will allow you to record Cinema 4K and 4K up to 60 frames per second continuously without overheating. It is also dust and moisture sealed, so basically you can bring it with you pretty much anywhere without caring too much about water and dust getting in. However, because you have the fan system that I mentioned right before, long term I don't know how it's gonna behave and if the camera is not gonna have any problem if there is dust or moisture that gets into that system. Overall, the build quality of the S5iiX is really good. It feels solid. I would say though that the S5iiX, in terms of visibility of the letters, which are all grayed out, if you don't have much light, if you don't have access to light when you shoot with this camera, it might get kind of tricky to see everything that is written on it. Now, if we talk about ergonomics, first the grip feels really deep and really good in hand. It feels really secure. I don't feel like the camera is gonna slip out of my hands, and I feel comfortable enough to hold the camera for a long time. The button layout also is really good. I would say that I really appreciate having the focus switch close to my thumb to be able to switch pretty much seamlessly my focus. You have a back dial and a front dial. I would say that I'm not a huge fan of the back and the front dial being so loose, because a lot of time when you try to reach to your other buttons, you end up hitting the back dial, and this is where basically I assign my shutter angle. So my shutter angle end up switching from time to time. So I would have appreciated a bit tighter front and back dials. Now, if we talk about EVF and LCD screen, the EVF is comfortable to use, not the best that I've used, but overall it feels comfortable. The LCD screen is very solid for flip out screen. I think from pretty much all the flip out screen that I've used, this one felt kind of the most solid of all. In terms of luminosity of the screen, I would have liked a little bit more luminosity out of the screen, and you feel it especially when you go outside, if there are reflection, etc. You would like to have a little bit more luminosity out of it. All right, now on to autofocus. The autofocus of the S5iiX is a hybrid one with contrast and phase autofocus. It's a significant improvement compared to the previous generation of the S5, for example, which was only using contrast. And I would say that the performance of the autofocus is pretty good. I would say though that once the subject gets smaller in frame, the autofocus sometimes has troubles to get onto it. But overall, it's more than usable. but there are better autofocus systems out there. Now with the S5iiX, you're able to detect either humans or animals, so that's pretty much what you get out of the camera. Now the IBIS of this camera is just amazing. I've tried to vlog real quick with it and see how it would work. I tried on the 50mm, right? So my hand was really out there. And even on the 50mm, the image was barely moving. Now, when you have a wider angle, usually you have something that is more stabilized, that feels less wobbly, right? But this on the 50 was amazing, amazing IBIS. So if this is really important for you, I would say, no question asked, this is the best IBIS that I've used. All right, so S5 Mark II and S5iiX. What do you get from one to the other? Well, with the S5iiX, you get raw output capabilities, you get SSD support, you get all intra support. So overall for $200, you pretty much are future-proofing your camera, and you are ensuring that if you need to work with an Apple ProRes or a Blackmagic Raw workflow, you are covered with this camera. So in my opinion, and that is just my opinion, I think that it is worth getting the $200 more option with the S5iiX. They also offer the S5 Mark II kind of a license to unlock the capabilities, the raw capabilities output. But I would say that just get the S5iiX if you haven't bought the S5 Mark II yet, and you will have a tool that can do more than enough for you. All right, so that's pretty much my impressions on the S5iiX, right? It is a beautiful camera that has good autofocus, much improved autofocus compared to the previous generation. The Vlog is great to work with, is great to color grade, it has beautiful image quality. You have open gate on this camera, which I think every camera is moving forward should have. You have tons of monitoring, you have custom LUT, you have shutter angle, and because of all of these features, I think that the S5iiX is pretty much the best cameras that content creators and videographers can get at this price point. Let me know down in the comment what you think about this camera. Thank you for watching today's video. And if you've missed it, check out this video right here where I talk about the Nikon Z8. See you there.